Good morning everyone, I hope you're all doing okay. Russ is coming over this morning on his vintage Honda. Should be a lot of fun. Morning, Russ.
Morning, Mike.
How are you? Nice.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. You can just go riding like this. It's grand.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Welcome to the cul-de-sac.
Good morning,
It's
Mike.
really nice to meet you.
It is finally a pleasure to be here.
I've seen your bike quite a few times. I've even taken clips of it in various events, and I remember specifically at Oaks Park last year, and I think even before then. Would love it if you could just share a few words about your bike.
Honda wasn't the first manufacturer to come out with an inline four. If you look earlier in the years, there were American companies. Italy, I think, was making a few bikes. And then, of course, in the UK, AJS made an inline four. Triumph came out with a quadrant in the early 70s. And then, of course, we can't forget the Ariel Square 4. Other manufacturers have put this package together. What Honda did is, as they came out in the 60s, they came out with the smaller bore bikes, 50, 90, 125, 150, 305. I may have missed one. And then they came out with a 450 twin in 1965, trying to attract the larger displacement enthusiasts. But that just didn't take. So they went back to the drawing board, and with their experience in Grand Prix racing, Honda was very active in 125 and 250cc Grand Prix racing. They already had racing inline fours with double overhead cam. And they said, what can we do to build a larger model? So it was Bob Hansen. He was the West Coast or Western Regional manager setting up all the Honda dealerships. And he told Mr. Honda, you should make a 750, yes, but you should make an inline four. They came with an overhead cam design, 4 pipes, 4 carbs, 4 exhaust pipes here, and they made a few design features in this. It's a dry sump motor. The oil tank is here. That was primarily done to keep the height of the motor low, keep the low center of gravity, and give you good ground clearance. 5-speed transmission, and a front disc brake, but they put it all in one package. And when the bike appeared at the Tokyo Motorcycle Show in 1968, it just blew everybody away. After that manufacturing in 1969, after a year and a half of development, the bikes came to the States, and I think people in the UK had to wait an additional year because Honda could not make them fast enough. So the KO is the first year of the Honda 4. Those were made with sandcast gravity mold cases. And Honda couldn't keep up with the demand, so they went to a die-cast production where they could meet all the criteria and meet the demand. If you wanted a 750 in '69, you had to get on a waiting list. This particular model is a 1974 model, and only in 2 years they came out with the Sunrise Flake Orange color. That was in 1973 and 74. A little tougher emission standard, so this is a little quieter on the mufflers, but you still can hear the motor. I've had the bike for about 10 years now. I found it was one of those eBay finds. You know, you have dinner, you go to your screen, and you're going, something pops up. Well, what caught my attention was the orange color. The bike was in Arizona. And at the time, my daughter and her husband and her children were living there. And I says, gee, if I'm the lucky winner, I've got a good excuse to go visit the family, the grandkids, and maybe pick up a bike. And that's what happened. So a good friend of mine, we took a road trip. He had a pickup. I said I'd cover the gas and help with the driving. We made it in one day, picked up the bike. It actually looked better in person, visited the kids, and brought the bike home. probably about 2 days turnaround. At the time I was living in California and I had to get a baseline on the bike, so I took the bike to Charlie's place in San Francisco. I called him before I left on my trip and I told him how many miles were on the bike. And he says, Russ, the mileage is secondary as long as the bike's been well cared for. So having that done, we did the basic things, an oil change, a tune-up. He made a few suggestions on rebuilding the carbs. The only other thing I had to have done was have the petcock rebuilt. I've changed the ball bearings in the headstock to tapered roller bearings. I've rebuilt the front end and the front brake. I put on a new rotor. Chains and sprockets I've replaced, and that's pretty much about it outside of oil changes. And the bike has taken me all over parts of California, and then we moved up here to Portland, and all the roads you can ride up here are just magnificent. The handling, Mike, it's a little top heavy, but once you get rolling, the top heaviness rolls away. And as far as the feeling of the motor when you take off, it's just a linear acceleration. Unlike the Nortons, BSAs, Enfields, and Triumphs, you could torque away from the stop. This one's a little different where it's just more linear in feel. And the bike just wants to rev, and when you feel it's time to shift, you just shift. And that's how it goes. This is a 1974 model. Honda in that year made over 60,000 units. And I'm just wondering, where are they now? And that's the same for subsequent years. So, you know, if you want to find one, they're out there. There's a great forum, the single overhead cam forum. So if you have questions, the members are more than happy to assist you. The original owner was in Tennessee, then it came to Arizona, and then it came to me in California, and then we moved up here to Portland. I like what the owner did do. He put a gauge here. This is a non-stock item, so you can constantly monitor your oil pressure. The other owner in Arizona, he re-spoked the wheels and put new tires, so we're up to speed on that. And then he did a few things, not overly done, but he polished the cases and he also polished the hubs. Not overly done again, and it complements the overall look of the bike. And the rarest thing, if you do find a 750, is the 4-in-4 exhaust. A lot of people, when they purchased these bikes, they went and they put in the 4-in-1 because they wanted that amplified sound. People who are looking for bikes that are more original are looking for the exhaust, and they're getting tougher to find. So when I saw this with the two pipes on either side, if you're following the bike, you already know what you're following. So it makes the bike so distinctive. I think this particular color, when you look at it and it's orange, it just screams 70s. And those were the colors way back then when we were much younger, you know. The only other thing the previous owner did, he put polished chrome covers over the speedometer and the tachometer. We also upgraded the master cylinder. So still a little wooden, but you know, you feel a little more now. And that's pretty much about it as far as care. Like most classic bikes, you pretty much will do the maintenance yourself. And I think when you do that, you have a deeper connection to the bike. You know what to listen for, what to feel. You know how it should be sounding. And that's one of the things, regardless of the brand that you ride. If it's a classic, you wrench it, then you know. And it's complete satisfaction. But that's the history on this bike. It's a great ride, and I'm privileged to be the caretaker until whenever.
It was really great to see you. Thanks very much for coming over.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Okay, I hope to see you again sometime, maybe on one of your other bikes.
Maybe so. Till next time.
Okay, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks very much for watching, guys. This has been another tale from the cul-de-sac. Please remember to subscribe and click the little bell and you'll get a notice whenever I release a new video, usually every Sunday morning and sometimes during the week.